Book 7. Odysseus at the court of Alcinous in Phaeacia. So Lord Odysseus, who had endured so much, prayed there, while 2 strong mules took the girl into the city. Once she reached her father's splendid palace, she halted at the outer gates, while her brothers, godlike men, crowded round her. They unhitched the mules, then brought the clothes inside. The girl went to her room. There her old chambermaid lit a fire for her. Medusa, an old woman from Aperi, curved ships had carried her from there years ago, when she'd been chosen as a prize for Alcinous, because he was the king of all Phaeacians, and people listened to him as if he were a god. She'd raised white-armed Nausicaa in the palace. Now she lit the fire and set food out in the room. Then Odysseus got up and set off for the city. Athene took good care to veil him in thick mist, so no bold Phaeacian who ran into him would cast verbal taunts and ask him who he was. As he was about to enter the fine city, bright-eyed Athene met him. She was disguised as a young girl carrying a pitcher. When she stopped in front of him, noble Odysseus said to her, "My child, could you direct me to the home of the man called Alcinous? He's the king of people here, and I'm a foreigner, coming from a distant country far away. I've suffered a great deal, and I don't know any of the men who own this city or the farmland." Bright-eyed Athene then said in reply, "Honoured stranger, in that case I will show you the very house you've just questioned me about. It's nearby, close to my good father's home. But go quietly and I will lead the way. You must not look at people or ask anyone a question. The people here are not fond of strangers. They don't extend a friendly welcome to those from other lands, but put their trust in their swift ships to carry them across vast gulfs of the sea. Something Poseidon has permitted them, for their ships move fast, as swift as birds in flight, or as a thought." That said, Pallas Athene led off rapidly. He followed closely in the goddess's footsteps. The Phaeacians, so celebrated for their ships, did not see him as he moved across the city in their midst. Athene, the fair-haired, fearful goddess, would not permit that. Her heart cared about him, so she cast around him an amazing mist. Odysseus was astonished by the harbours and well-tended ships, by the meeting places where those heroes gathered, by the lofty walls topped with palisades. It was a marvellous sight. When they reached the splendid palace of the king, bright-eyed Athene was the first to speak. "Honoured stranger, here is the house you asked me to point out. You'll find Zeus-fostered kings in there feasting. But go inside and do not be afraid. In a man, boldness is always better at getting good results, even in the case where he's a stranger from another land. Inside the palace, you'll first greet the queen. Her name is Arete, born of the same line as Alcinous the king. Originally, Nausicaa was born to the earth-shaker, Poseidon, and to Peribea, loveliest of women, youngest daughter to great-hearted Eurymedon, once king of the rebellious giants. But he destroyed his reckless people and was killed himself. Poseidon then had sex with Peribea, who bore him a son, courageous Nausicaa, who ruled Phaeacians and who had 2 sons, Rhexenor and Alcinous. Rhexenor, a married man but with no sons, was killed by Apollo's silver bow in his own home. He left an only daughter, Arete. Alcinous made her his wife and honoured her beyond all other women on this earth. All the wives who now control their homes under the guidance of their husbands. That's how much she's honoured from the heart by her dear children, by Alcinous himself, and by the people too, who look on her as if she were a goddess when they greet her as she walks through town. She does not lack a fine intelligence, and thus, for women to whom she's well disposed, she can resolve disputes they go through with their husbands. So if you win her favour, there's a hope you'll see your friends and make that journey back to your own high-roofed home and native land." Bright-eyed Athene finished. Then she went away, across the restless sea, leaving lovely Scheria. She came to Marathon and the wide streets of Athens, and entered the well-built palace of Erechtheus. Odysseus moved towards Alcinous' splendid home. He stood there, his heart thinking over many things before he came up to the threshold made of bronze. Above the high-vaulted home of brave Alcinous there was a radiance, as if from sun or moon. Bronze walls extended out beyond the threshold in various directions to the inner rooms. They had a blue enamel cornice. Golden doors blocked the way into the well-constructed palace. The bronze threshold had silver doorposts set inside and a silver lintel. The handles were of gold. On both sides of the door stood gold and silver dogs, immortal creatures who would never age, created by Hephaestus's matchless artistry, to guard the palace of great-hearted Alcinous. On either side within, seats were set against the wall from the doorway right through to the inner room, with soft rugs covering them, elegantly woven women's handiwork. On these, Phaeacian leaders would sit to eat and drink from their abundant stores. Gold statues of young men stood on sturdy pedestals, holding torches in their hands to give light at night for people feasting in the hall. And Alcinous had 50 women servants in the palace. Some at the millstone ground up yellow grain, some wove fabric, or, sitting down, twisted yarn, hands fluttering like leaves on a tall poplar tree, while olive oil dripped down. Just as Phaeacian men have more skill than anyone at sailing a fast ship across the sea, so their women have great skill at working on the loom, for Athene gave them above all others a knowledge of fine handiwork and keen intelligence. Beyond the courtyard, but near the door, stands an enormous orchard, 4 land measures with a hedge on either side. Huge and richly laden trees grow there, pomegranates, pears, and apple trees with shining fruit, sweet figs and fertile olive trees. And in this orchard no fruit gets destroyed or dies in winter-time or during summer. It lasts all year long. West wind, as he blows in, always brings some fruits to life and ripens others. Pear growing above pear, apple upon apple, grapes in cluster after cluster, and fig after fig. And inside that orchard, Alcinous has a fertile vineyard planted too. In part of it, a sunny patch of level ground, grapes are drying in the sun. In another place, men are gathering up and treading other grapes. In front, the unripe grapes are shedding blossoms, while others change into a purple colour. Beside the final row of vines, there are trim beds with every kind of plant growing all year round. There are 2 springs inside. One sends its water through all the garden, and on the opposite side the other runs below the threshold of the yard, where people of the town collect their water towards the high-roofed palace. These glorious things were gifts from the gods to the home of Alcinous. Lord Odysseus, who had endured so much, stood there and gazed around. When his heart had marvelled at it all, he moved fast across the threshold into the house. There he found Phaeacian counsellors and leaders making libations to honour keen-eyed Hermes, killer of Argus. They poured him a final tribute whenever they intended to retire to bed. Long-suffering Lord Odysseus, still enclosed in mist, the thick covering poured around him by Athene, went through the hall until he came to Arete and Alcinous the king. With his arms Odysseus embraced the knees of Arete, and at that moment the miraculous mist dissolved away from him. The people in the palace were all silent as they gazed upon the man, struck with wonder at the sight. Odysseus then made this entreaty: "Arete, daughter of godlike Rhexenor, I've come to you and to your husband here, to your knees, in supplication to you, a man who's experienced so much distress, and to those feasting here. May gods grant them happiness in life, and may they each pass on riches in their homes to all their children, and noble honours given by the people. Please, rouse yourself to help me return home, to get back quickly to my native land. I've been suffering trouble for a long time so far away from friends." Odysseus finished. Then he sat down by the fire, right on the ashes inside the hearth. All the people there were silent. No one said a word. Then, finally, an old man, Lord Echeneus, a Phaeacian elder statesman, a skilful speaker full of ancient wisdom with their common good in mind, spoke up and said, "Alcinous, it's not at all appropriate or to our credit that this stranger's sitting at our hearth in the ashes on the ground. The people here are holding themselves back, waiting for your word. Come, tell the stranger to get up. Then invite the man to sit on a silver-studded chair. Tell the heralds to mix wine, so we may make an offering to thunder-loving Zeus, who accompanies all pious suppliants. And tell the steward to provide this stranger with a dinner, from what she has in store." When he heard these words, brave and kingly Alcinous stretched out his hand, reached for Odysseus, that wise and crafty man, raised him from the hearth, and invited him to sit in a shining chair, after he had asked his son, handsome Laodamas, the son he loved the most, who sat beside him, to stand up and offer it. An attendant carried in a fine gold pitcher, then poured some water out into a silver basin so he could wash his hands. A polished table was set up beside him, and the housekeeper, a well-respected female servant, brought in food, set it in front of him with many tasty treats offered freely from her store. And so Odysseus, that long-suffering noble man, could eat and drink. Then noble Alcinous spoke to his herald. "Fontanowers, prepare wine in the mixing bowl, then serve it to all people in the hall. So we may pour libations out to Zeus, who loves the lightning, for he accompanies all pious suppliants." Once Alcinous said this, Pontonous prepared the honeyed wine, and then poured the first drops for libation into every cup. When they'd made their offering and drunk their fill of wine, Alcinous then addressed the gathering and said, "You Phaeacians, counsellors and leaders, pay attention to me, so I can say what the heart here in my chest commands. Now that you have all finished eating, return back to your homes and get some rest. In the morning we'll summon an assembly with more elders, entertain this stranger here in our home, and also sacrifice choice offerings to the gods. Then after that, we'll think about how we can send him off, so that this stranger, with us escorting him and without further pain or effort, may reach his native land, no matter how far distant. Meanwhile he'll not suffer harm or trouble, not before he sets foot on his own land. After that he'll undergo all those things destiny and the dreaded spinning fates spun in the thread for him when he was born, when his mother gave him birth. However, if he's a deathless one come down from heaven, then gods are planning something different. Up to now they've always shown themselves to us in their true form, when we offer up to them a splendid sacrifice. They dine with us, sitting in the very chairs we also use. If someone travelling all by himself meets them, they don't hide their true identity because we are close relatives of theirs, like Cyclopes and the wild tribes of giants." Resourceful Odysseus then answered Alcinous, "Alcinous, you should not concern yourself about what you've just said. For I'm not like the immortal gods who hold wide heaven, not in my form or shape. I'm like mortal men. If among human beings you know of some who bear a really heavy weight of trouble, I might compare myself with them for grief. Indeed, I could recount a longer story, all those hardships I have had to suffer from the gods. But let me eat my dinner, though I'm in great distress. For there's nothing more shameless than a wretched stomach, which commands a man to think about its needs, even if he's really sad, or troubles weigh down his heart, just the way my spirit is now full of sorrow, and yet my belly is always telling me to eat and drink, forgetting everything I've had to bear, and ordering me to stuff myself with food. But when dawn appears, you should stir yourselves so you can set me and my misery back on my native soil, for all I've suffered. If I can see my goods again, my slaves, my large and high-roofed home. Then let life end." Once Odysseus finished, they all approved his words, and, because he'd spoken well and to the point, they ordered that their guest should be sent on his way. Then, after they had poured libations, and had drunk to their heart's content, each of them returned back home to get some rest. In the hall, Lord Odysseus was left sitting by Arete and godlike Alcinous. Servants cleared away the remnants of the feast. White-armed Arete spoke first, for when she saw his cloak and tunic, she recognized his lovely clothes as ones made by her servant-women and herself. So she spoke to him. Her words had wings. "Stranger, first of all, I'll ask you this. Who are you? What people do you come from? And those clothes, who gave them to you? Did you not tell us you came here wandering across the sea?" Resourceful Odysseus then answered her and said, "O Queen, it would be hard to tell the story of my miseries from start to finish. Heavenly gods have given me so many. But in answer to what you have asked me, I can tell you this. There is an island called Ogygia far off in the sea. A cunning, fearful goddess lives there, fair-haired Calypso, Atlas's daughter. None of the gods associates with her, nor any mortal men. But one of the gods led me in my misfortune to her hearth. I was alone, for Zeus had struck my ship with his bright lightning bolt and shattered it, right in the middle of the wine-dark sea. All my other fine companions perished there, but I clung to the keel of my curved ship and drifted for 9 days. The 10th black night, gods brought me to Ogygia, the island where that fair-haired, fearful goddess lives. I mean, Calypso. She received me kindly, loved, and fed me. She promised she'd make me ageless and immortal for eternity. But she never won the heart here in my chest. I stayed there 7 years, the entire time always soaking the immortal clothing Calypso gave me with my constant tears. But as the circling years kept moving past me, the 8th year came. Then she commanded me with her encouragement to sail back home, either because she'd got some news from Zeus, or else her mind had changed. She sent me off on a well-lashed raft, and she provided many things, food and sweet wine. She dressed me in immortal clothing and sent a wind, a warm and gentle breeze. 17 days I sailed across the sea. On the 18th, the shadowy mountains of your country came in sight, and my fond heart was happy. But I had no luck. I still had to learn great torments, which the shaker of the earth, Poseidon, sent at me. He stirred up winds against me, blocked my route, and shook the sea in an amazing way. The surging waves did not allow the raft to carry me for all my heavy groaning, since that storm smashed my raft apart. But I swam on, cutting across the gulf until wind and wave carried me ahead and left me on your shore. If I'd tried to land there, the pounding surf would have tossed me up on shore, throwing me against huge rocks in a perilous place. So I moved back again, and kept on swimming until I reached a river, which I thought the best place I could land. It was free of rocks, and there was shelter from the wind as well. I staggered out and fell down on the beach, gasping for breath. Immortal night arrived, so I climbed up from that heaven-fed river, gathered leaves around me in the bushes, and fell asleep. Some god poured over me an endless sleep, so there among the leaves my fond, exhausted heart slept through the night, past daybreak and noon. Not until the sun was in decline did that sweet sleep release me. Then I observed your daughter's servants playing on the shore, and she was with them, looking like a goddess. I entreated her, and she revealed no lack of noble sense, the sort you would not hope to come across in one so young at a first encounter. Young people always act so thoughtlessly. She gave me lots of food and gleaming wine, bathed me in the river, and gave me clothes. Though I'm in pain, I've told the truth in this." Alcinous then answered him and said, "Stranger, my child was truly negligent this time. She did not bring you with her servants here to our home, although it was to her that you first made your plea. Resourceful Odysseus then said in answer to the king, "My lord, in this you must not criticize your daughter. I beg you, for she is quite innocent. She did indeed tell me to follow her with her attendants, but I was unwilling, afraid and shamed in case when you saw us you would be angry, for on this earth groups of men are quick to grow enraged." Alcinous then said in answer to Odysseus, "Stranger, the heart here in my chest is not like that. It does not get incensed without a reason. It's better in all things to show restraint. By Father Zeus, Athene, and Apollo, I wish, given the kind of man you are, with a mind that thinks so like my own, you'd marry my child and become my son, and then stay here. I'd give you a home and wealth as well, if you chose to remain. But no Phaeacian will detain you here against your will. No, may that never be the will of Father Zeus. I'll arrange a time so you can know for certain when you're leaving. Let it be tomorrow. While you lie asleep, they'll carry you across the tranquil sea until you reach your native land and home, or whatever place you wish, even though it may take them far past Euboea. Some of our people who saw that island when they carried fair-haired Rhadamanthus to visit Tityus, the son of Gaea, say it is the most remote of places. They went there, and without any effort made the journey home in the same day. So you too will discover for yourself. I have the finest ships and young men too, who toss salt water with their oar blades." Alcinous finished. Long-suffering Lord Odysseus was pleased, and spoke out in prayer, saying, "Father Zeus, may Alcinous complete all he has said. Then on this grain-giving earth his fame will never be extinguished, and I will reach my native land." As they conversed like this, white-armed Arete commanded her attendants to set her bed outside under the portico, placing fine purple blankets on the top, with coverlets spread over them, and then, over those, some woolly cloaks to keep him warm. The servants left the chamber, torches in their hands. Once they had worked fast to arrange the well-made bed, they came to call Odysseus, saying, "Stranger, come now, and rest. Your bed is ready." When they said this, he welcomed thoughts of going to sleep. So long-suffering Lord Odysseus lay down there on the corded bed beneath the echoing portico. But Alcinous rested in an inner chamber, in the high-roofed house. His lady wife lay there as well, stretched out beside him, sharing their marriage bed.